But I think just by planting something that you can then consume with your own body, that changes a lot in your mindset. And you kind of realize it starts to enable. If I had a magic wand, I would cover the whole world in 1 millimeter of compost. Even if it's just a little small thing, even if I'm just, I don't know, saving one bird from the street or one hedgehog. At least I'm doing something. My neighbors were all laughing one day when I said I wanted to grow vegetables out there. Like, this will never work. No one ever has grown vegetables out here.
What if a Swiss industrial designer decides to move to Mallorca, give up her own life to start a dream project? This is Scarlet, and she's with us now at a new episode of the Food Forest podcast. Hey Scarlet, welcome. How are you doing?
I'm great, thanks.
So tell me, you grew up in Switzerland and somehow you wound up in Mallorca on a beautiful island. How did that happen?
That's a very good question that I've been asked a lot, but I actually don't really have a good answer to why Mallorca. That was a decision my heart made without my head. But yeah, I guess this was a dream I've always had. And at one point, I just decided I'll just give it a go and see if I can make it happen.
Wow, that's very brave of you. How did your life in Switzerland look? Did you live in a big city, in a small town, in the mountains, near the lake?
Grew up in the biggest city we have in Switzerland, which is not as big, but yeah, Zurich, which is pretty city-like. That's here in Mallorca. That's my first experience living in a village. It's quite an experience. So that's, for me, that was a complete change, not just culturally, but also from the environment.
Yeah, and while you were living in Zurich, did you live like in an apartment?
Yes, I lived in an apartment and I made my first gardening experiences as a child in the public school garden where we learned how to grow vegetables. And that was like a really cool experience for me. And so I always had access to nature, even though I lived in a city. I also was in Girl Scouts all my life almost. And yeah, so that was like how I got into gardening. But when I started living by myself, I was living in a very small apartment, shared apartment with no balcony, not even like, we had like a really, really sketchy backyard shared with like an elderly home and an establishment of the other kind. So one day I just decided I'll try and grow some potatoes back there, and it worked.
Wow.
To my surprise, it worked. It was a bit gross, but it worked. And that's where my passion started. So I just started to experiment on growing on the smallest spaces possible, which was like my windowsill. And I just went from there.
That's pretty hopeful because a lot of people live in cities, more and more evenly, and they always think, well, I have to move to the countryside in order to grow your own food. But you are proving the opposite, that it is possible to grow it in the city. You also started a project about it, right? You didn't just keep it to yourself. How did you do that?
Yeah, I mean, might not be the best example since I do 2.2 hectares now. So, I mean, I would say it is possible to garden and grow your own food, even if you only have a balcony or a terrace. But I must say it makes a lot more fun having the place to grow not just vegetables, but also trees and everything. But yeah, so because when I first started my gardening journey, I actually didn't have a garden. I thought I have to research and find out how to grow food in containers or in small spaces in general. And I learned that there is actually not much knowledge about this. And most blogs or like all these garden advice is actually made for real gardens with like real soil and everything. And they tell you to plant, I don't know, beans with a distance of 40 centimeters. And then you're standing on your balcony wondering, well, where do I put my second row then? Because I only have like 40 centimeters. So I decided, since I'm already doing all this research and investing so much time into learning everything for me, I might as well share this with others. And that's how my project Urban Roots started, which had the goal to not just share the knowledge, but then also have like a whole community gardening with me. So that was the idea.
And that was still in Zurich, right?
That was, I moved to Basel in between
All
sometime.
right.
Yeah.
So you did it in Zurich and Basel.
Well, yeah. I mean, I lived in Basel at that time, but the community was in all the German-speaking part of Switzerland. And yeah, we had like a seed subscription. So I, to make it also financially worth for me to do that, I sold organic seeds, heirloom seeds from Switzerland. And the subscription was, the idea was that you can grow something with me each month of the year and see how it grows on my balcony, and have like a community growing the same thing at the same time together.
That's so good. It's so much better than having a Netflix subscription. You subscribe to you probably post videos then every month from yourself talking about what to do. You get the seeds, you do it together with you. You're not alone because sometimes doing it
Yeah.
alone can be daunting, especially if it's for the first time you're doing it. And yeah, no, nice. And did you do that as a side job, as a side project, or at the time you like made a full-time living out of it?
Originally, I did it on the side while still working on design jobs, self-employed. But at the end, it kind of switched. I had this as my main job, but still did some design work at the side.
Well, that's beautiful. When you look at your trajectory, it's almost like an ecosystem evolving. Industrial
Yeah.
engineer, starting small on your own little garden on your balcony, and then starting a small side business. That one grew, the other one shrinked a little bit, and now you went full on.
Yeah, I kind of grew as well as my plan, like my plans did. The more I knew, the more confident I also got to go bigger and take the next step.
Yeah. And as an industrial designer, what kind of things were you designing?
I always been focusing on sustainable products. I had a firm, we had a store with a couple of people designing products that are made in Europe. So we were searching for products that were still able to produce as close by as possible. Switzerland is not the easiest country to produce, but Europe is actually was still possible. Yeah,
And
I
what kind
actually
of
always been
products?
focusing on sustainable products.
Yeah. Oh, and what kind of sustainable products?
Well, we did a little bit of everything in the beginning. Mostly I did jewelry, but also accessories. I designed a pair of sneakers,
Wow,
a
cool.
backpack made in Switzerland with Swiss leather from Swiss cows,
That's
which
amazing.
is exceptional, I must say myself.
Yeah, congratulations on that.
Yeah, it
It's
was
already
very.
permaculture in action.
Yeah, it's yeah, I mean most people when they hear about permaculture they just think of growing trees and forests and I don't know, herbal spirals, but actually it's the philosophy can be applied in every part of your life, in your work, in your home, wherever. So when I stumbled upon permaculture, I realized I've been actually living according to these principles all my life, even before I knew about the term permaculture.
That's a good thing. It's already been part of you, and then you just put a name on it and see,
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
there's like
That's how it felt.
there's a framework. Wow, now I can like talk about it
And there's
because
a community. There's like
yeah,
like-minded people and everything. That was pretty awesome.
yeah. Yeah, it is. A lot of people are actually in your shoes where you were a couple of years ago and wanting to make this transition. And for a lot of people, it's scary to do that. What advice would you give them? There would be like one piece of advice you would give them. What would that be?
This scary. I can't deny that. I mean, I almost shit myself when I had to sign the contract for the land because I've never ever bought anything that expensive in my life, and I didn't actually have the money to pay for it even. Yeah, I guess one of my friends actually gave me a good advice while I had my little existential crisis, and he said, if it's scary, it must be worth it. So it's actually very clever. So whenever you're scared, it might, it might be a big step, but it's always worth. If it's a real dream and you really want it, why shouldn't you? And also, what's the worst thing that could happen if if you do that step, if you go that step? Sorry.
And
I
what was
guess, there's actually nothing that, Well, I mean, you can lose some money. You can always go back to your original life and work in an office. And there's no, I mean, there's no harm in failing. You can always fail and just stumble, get up again, and continue.
That's something that we are so afraid of. I feel people around me and the fear of failing, that it's a bad thing. But if you look at nature, everything is constantly failing forward.
Exactly.
Have you done that risk calculation, to say with that those kind of words, of what can go wrong if like the worst thing is gonna happen? Have you like thought about that? And what was that for you? What was like the worst case scenario?
Financial bankruptcy.
Bankruptcy. Yeah.
But luckily, I'm from a country that has a very good social system. So I knew, like, even if I go bankrupt, even if I don't manage to pay back for the land that I bought, I will never end up on the streets. There will always be, like, I have family, I have friends, I have good education. I can always find a different work. But the financial risk for me, that was the biggest fear that I.
Because you have a loan on the land
Yes.
that you need to
Well,
pay off.
yes, still.
And that if you can't pay it off, then you're screwed.
Well, yeah. I mean, it sounds really bad, but actually, if you break it down, it's not. A lot of people have debts. I wasn't used to that before because I've always I lived on my own money before, and I've never been in debt before, so that was a very uncomfortable experience.
Yeah, but it's totally true. I think, sometimes if you're like working on your bicycle or on some mechanics with this wrench, and you have to like push very, very hard. If you put like a soft cushion or like something beneath it, that if you like use all your strength and you slip, but you land somewhere soft, then you can give all the power you have, right? But if you don't have that protection, you're like more scary.
Yeah,
And that's the nice thing about Switzerland and other countries in the world who have that kind of security nets, that if the worst thing happens, that you can always have some security, you don't end up in the streets. And so that's actually something very nice to have. Humanity could probably go much higher and much further if they could give everything and follow their dreams, and knowing that, well, if worst thing happens, I can still like bounce on the nets and then bounce back and then rebuild my life. So no, very,
exactly.
very, very, very brave of you to then just go out and say, okay, screw it, I'm gonna take this loan, get this land. Um, you don't live on that land right now?
No, unfortunately, I didn't have enough money to buy a land with a house on it. So, like, my original dream, of course, was having a house and everything, or rebuild like an old ruin, one of these beautiful old stone buildings. But yeah, I ended up with just land, without water, without electricity, without even a road. I couldn't even enter the land by car when we first got there. But so in the last 3 years, I've been working on making an infrastructure so that also like trucks can get up, so water can be delivered. I have a little caravan. I can stay on my land and I can cook there and everything. We have a toilet and it's livable. Theoretically, I could move there, but winters are surprisingly harsh, even though it's the island of sun. But it's really humid and a bit lonely, I must say. And yeah, I still need some. I don't know. I don't need, but I enjoy the comforts of living in an apartment in the village still. So for the time being, I'm still waiting for the building permit for a house. Which, whenever that's happening, then I have to figure out how to tackle that project. But yeah, so far I'm actually really happy with just living in the village and staying on the land occasionally.
Yeah, it's nice to see that you're really building it block by block. I think a lot of people, they want to fly into the project and want it all at the same time, and then sometimes they go too fast and forget about some important things. You really do it literally step by step, like even not having a real road going to the place, and now you can have a caravan on it. So it's something that grows organically. The thing when you live in the city and be on the land, I feel that it is the best of both worlds, that you can still be connected with the people and then on the land. How do you see this evolving in society? A lot of people want to go back to the land, but then kind of feel lonely and because they're on their own islands. In your ideal world, how would that look like?
I honestly don't really know. I mean, I really enjoy being alone and being in nature, like all by myself. And I really love that I have like a plot where I don't see any neighbors, and I could just walk around naked whenever I feel like it. But yeah, I mean, I applied for a building permit because I have this dream of having a house there and everything, but I'm not really sure if I will enjoy that lifestyle of being all by myself out there. So I don't know I think each person needs to find its ideal living situation. But yeah, for now, I actually really enjoy the village lifestyle here. It's a very small village, and I feel like I know everyone already.
Nice.
But yeah, maybe one day I'll move out to the countryside completely, but I'm not sure. For
Exciting.
me, I think there are benefits in every living situation, even cities. I mean, I love the vibrant life and going out and everything, but just not all the time.
Yeah. Vegetation wise, what's your vision for the project? I heard that you want to start a kind of food forest system. How is that working out so far?
Actually, pretty good. It's just it grows very slowly. You know, you see all these food forests in the tropics, and then you come to the Mediterranean, and it's very different. I mean, we have completely depleted soil, trees, but only the really, really tough ones were still standing. And yeah, the idea is actually, well, I have different parts. I have different plots on my land, so I want to try out different systems. But one of them is like a tropical food forest that I already planted, like partially. I'm still working on that, but I mean, the concept's there. And then I have another plot where I want to grow a Miyawaki forest, so with only native trees. And we also started with that. But yeah, I mean, it's just patience is needed with growing here.
So when you got the land, was it totally barren or
No, I
how
was
can you
really, really
visualize it?
lucky. My land is actually, it's on a hill, south-facing hill, not very steep, but still like, I think 13 meters of height difference from the top to the bottom, more or less. And there is a little forest below, like on the steeper part, which is like a pretty good forest with like complete native, not complete, but I mean it's a forest with all its benefits. And the top part is more flat, and that's where they had planted an almond orchard before, which has been neglected for years. These two parts I kind of divided in one for the subtropical method and the other one for the Miyawaki method.
All
And
right.
then there's like a place in the middle for the house and everything.
Seems like you figured it out where to put what. With the almond trees, are they still present or they all died?
Not all of them. We tried to save whatever we were able to save, but I am pretty sure you've heard about the problem with the Xylella bacteria.
In Mallorca, it's bad, eh?
It's pretty bad, yeah. And yes, they're on the almonds as well. So I think we managed to save about 30 trees, but they're not like producing. You know, if I see all these fields of the professional almond orchards, they look very, very different. And also mine, they haven't been watered at all, ever. Like,
Rain
so
fed.
yeah. And we also have a couple of carrot trees, which is really cool.
Yeah, and super delicious.
Yes, super delicious and nitrogen fixings. Yeah, I think they all survived. One died of lightning. Yeah, the biggest one, unfortunately.
My God.
Yeah.
That's funny actually. The syntropic forest you're starting, what were the first steps you took to start it? Can you like guide us through the steps you took to create it?
Yeah, maybe I mean, I didn't really follow the instructions step by step because of impatience and also lack of money, I guess. I couldn't plant like all the layers of all the plants at once, but I started with green manure because that's something you can always do.
What kind of manure?
I sowed mostly alfalfa and clover and a mix of nuts and wildflowers, which I kind of regret now because they have they have like seeds that kind of stick in your skin.
Oh no.
I don't know what grass that is, but it's terrible and it's everywhere now. But I mean, it's native.
Doing their job too good.
Yeah, that's what I started with, and then I started planting all the trees first, which actually you're not supposed to. But I just, I'm not getting any younger, and I wanted to get most of the trees in the first year. Yeah, and then I added all the other layers like the year after.
Yeah.
Most of the other layers the year after.
What trees did you plant? What
Everything.
which layers? Tell us some species.
Well, it's a mix of native trees, mostly like to have the role of the pioneer trees to kind of shade the others. My favorite one is the poplar that grows super, super fast, and there are 2 native varieties here on the island. So that's one of them. Then I planted a lot of native fruit trees that I knew that they were probably going to do well, or native,
Which ones?
not really. And one of them is the strawberry tree.
Yeah, the Arbutus onedo.
Exactly. I love that one.
Me too.
I haven't got my own food yet, but it's a really cool tree.
And they grow very well on Mallorca.
Yeah. They're growing wild. And then I added some of the classical trees that I know they would grow well, like lemon, all the citrus family, because you see it in other gardens, so it's like a safe bet. And I also added a couple of experimental trees just to see if they will survive. They were more like on the tropical side, like lychee or chirimoya, guava. And some of them are really struggling, like the mango. I mean, it's still alive, but it's barely alive. But others, like the guava, which also comes from the tropics, is actually doing great. It's one of our best trees, and it's producing fruit already in the second year.
Really?
So I think it's worth experimenting, even if you don't think it might work. Some of them actually are really happy with the conditions here.
Yeah. We often say, well, 80% of your plants do a safe bet, and then the other 20% go super crazy, try out new kind of stuff.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. And the green manure, is it taking over some of the newly plants you planted? Like in the beginning, what were they competing?
Oh, yeah. We had a really good winter, so it grew very well. But I do have 2 pigs helping me to keep things at bay. And of course, they love the clover and the alfalfa. But also, they don't really grow high, so I don't really need to cut them. I think I enjoy them more having them around because I'm not a big fan of. I can't really use like a mower or anything because it's really rocky and really uneven. So the pigs actually are a great help in keeping everything.
Free mowers.
Yeah, mowers and tillers at the same time.
Yeah. Do they also harm the trees, the pigs?
Not so far away. I had it's still a learning curve. For me, I mean, I'm new with all the animal husbandry. I have no experience whatsoever. I just decided on pigs because of the land, not because I mean, they're cute, but they're just.
What kind of pigs are they?
What pigs?
What kind of pigs?
It's a porc negre. It's a native breed.
Yeah,
They're
like with the
not
hairy
as huge.
ones?
Actually, I have 2 pigs, and one is hairy and the other one isn't. But usually they're like a little bit of, but not like wool hairy.
Yeah.
But black.
All
That's
right.
good for the sun out here.
And are you able to feed them with your plot, or do you have to give extra feed?
No, I'm still buying. I mean, I feed them all of our carrots, and that was great over the winter. But now I ran out. Maybe in March, I ran out of my stash. But they don't eat like tons. They eat a lot from the land, what they find. But I had some issues with keeping them in like contained. I'm still figuring out how I can make sure they don't eat. I mean, they don't eat the young trees, but some of my trees are really, really small, the ones I sowed mostly, but also other plants are really, really small. And when they just move with their face, when they're like in the soil, they just dig with such
They uproot
vigor
the
that
trees.
they harm the plants more by moving stuff around. They don't really eat them, but
Yeah,
there's some damage, and they ate all my artichokes. But yeah, that's like all the loss I had so far. That was
yeah.
it's fine.
It's better than goats.
Goats are, for me, that's a no-go. Absolutely no.
They eat
Never ever.
everything, including your furniture and your car.
Exactly. And also on my land is we have these really nice dry stone walls here in Mallorca,
Yeah.
and I have them all around the land. And that contains, I mean, yeah, the pigs still escaped once or twice, or more than twice actually. But the goats would, yeah, I mean, I would have to fence the whole land, which would be a financial nightmare.
Yeah. Do you use temporary fencing for the goats?
For the pigs, you mean?
For the pigs.
I tried, but they soon figured out that the electroshock was like, it's unpleasant, but it's not killing them. So
They're just like, oh,
whenever there
screw
was
it.
something more interesting on the other side, they stay in there for a while, maybe 2 or 3 hours. But if they hear me going to the chickens or anything, they come and want to see what I'm doing. They always come to me. So it's like when I'm there, it's actually fine.
They
I
like you.
haven't finished all the gates yet. So that's why right now they're on my neighbor's plot, because she has proper gates and all the walls are safe.
Yeah. And is it the goal to also eat the pigs?
No. No, the goal was actually to make the rotational grazing. But yeah, after like 2 or 3 months of trying, I realized it's not for me. It's not working with my tools, it's not working with my land, and not working with my pigs. So for now, I decided to just have them on my neighbor's plot in summer, like they're on holidays now. And then, well, I mean, they're cleaning her land, so she has all the benefits. And in winter, they will go back to the food forests zone, like the subtropical area. And because then I'll have enough greenery for them to eat. And I hope that by then my plantation is grown a bit and more stable, so they won't dig up. Well, wherever, mostly when they dig, it's where I just recently planted something and I put manure or anything like full of insects into the ground. So that's, I think when I wait a little and everything is settled, they might not do as much damage in the future, and they will just be like roaming around freely in the food forest zone.
And the chickens you have, what effect do you see between the chickens and the things you planted?
The chickens, they're not much so far, to be honest. But I mean, it's a bit, yeah, I mean, on 2 hectares with, I think right now I have 5 chickens left. They get eaten a lot by the birds. So they don't really have a huge impact. I use their, like the straw in the veggie garden. And I mean, they do scratch a little, but they're more here for the eggs than anything else.
Yeah. And the water can be an issue in drier periods. You say that you don't have any water access. You have to bring it in by truck.
Yes.
And is it a lot of water?
Yes. Yeah, it's quite, I mean, I have a big tank, 20,000 liters. And in the winter, I think I managed to go through the whole winter with 1 tank this year. But last year, it was really dry and I had to reorder at least twice. And the irrigation was on all winter. So it depends a lot on the weather, of course. And in the summer, I think last year I ordered a truck a month, which is like 15,000 liters a month. And this year it's going to be much more because I have all the animals, and the pigs love to bathe, the ducks love to bathe. So, yeah.
And how do you see that evolving in the future with water?
I guess I'll have to figure it out. Like, well, theoretically, I would need less water as soon as the trees are shading the ground. I just don't know when that will be exactly. But yeah, I guess I will whenever I will be able to build a house, I will be able to harvest rainwater. But until then, I kind of have to bring water in externally. And I think like the first year I didn't water enough because I tried to save money, but also I tried to kind of hardy my plants.
Mm-hmm.
And I might have been overdoing it a bit. So this year I decided to rather use a bit more water, and that will be less stressful for the trees, and hopefully it will grow quicker, and then I will need less water after that. So I think it's good to invest more like in water in the first years. But yeah, still, I mean, I'm trying to save as much as possible.
Yeah, I had the same problem. I thought, well, I'm gonna make my trees very hardy and not water them enough. And then a lot of them died. And then after a while, you realize, okay, the first year, we're gonna water them so they establish.
Exactly.
Give a lot of water at one time, like don't give every day a little bit because then the roots will grow shallow. And then after a while, they'll grow up and get their own water. And you're building the soil right now. So
yeah, exactly. I think that was an issue because first, whenever I watered, I mean, yeah, it didn't really soak in. We have a very clayey soil here. So I think water can actually penetrate into the soil much better. And yeah, that's going to help. But yeah, building soil is, I mean, it's a top priority still. It's just, yeah, I know it's such a big plot of land. I feel like, you know, every shovel I add, it's just never enough. It's never enough, you know, when it's just it's a bit annoying.
yeah. And also that step-by-step patience is super important. And do you feel that your background as an industrial designer helped you into designing the plots you have?
Yes, a lot. I mean,
Can you
not
give some
just,
concrete examples?
well, first of all, I can use all the programs. I know, like all the design programs. All my plans look really good. Often, I
If you
mean,
can design a sneakers and a
exactly.
backpack, then
So for me, it's really easy to draw. And also I have a very good three-dimensional vision because that was part of my job as well. So it helps me. I mean, for me, it's easier, I think, to understand like how much space the trees will need and all these layerings and all these three-dimensional things. Yeah, but it also helped me in other aspects. Like my project is not just about planting, it's also about sharing knowledge. And yeah, it helps just to make little sketches sometimes for people when I host workshops and things like that.
you're already hosting workshops right now?
Yeah, we started this year.
Cool. And what workshops can people follow?
We have like introduction to permaculture workshop and organic gardening, like in general, like vegetable gardening with using the no-dig method. And we have a really cool workshop planned in August, which is more about nutrition and sustainable nutrition that I do together with a nutritionist. So I'm really looking forward to that next one.
Yeah. And the people that are coming, are they mostly locals or foreigners living in Mallorca?
Foreigners that live in Mallorca or tourists.
Yeah. Also
Mallorquin
tourists.
tourists, you know, when they're here, or sometimes they come specifically. Like we had a yoga, like back to nature retreat, where we mixed yoga with activities in nature to like experience all the elements. And a lot of people came here just for the workshop.
Nice.
Yeah.
How much percent of your food can you have from your project for yourself at the moment?
For myself, or
Yeah,
well, it depends on like
approximately.
very little compared to the land I have. The vegetable garden I'm started is only made for like personal use or like for workshop participants, but I never want to sell veggies or anything like that. So yeah, and of course there as well, the soil quality was super bad. They were actually, my neighbors were all laughing one day when I said I wanted to grow vegetables out there. Like, this will never work. No one ever has grown vegetables out here. And look at the soil. How are you going to grow a tomato in here? And well, I think I proved them wrong, but it's still like, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks. But I think this year, I hope I just started last year with the vegetables. I like separately vegetables, like a vegetable garden. Yeah. So this year, I hope I will be able to grow a bigger percentage of my own food. Yeah. But for me, I mean, theoretically, it would be enough. It's just that I'm a bit of a gourmet. I kind of like to eat well and not just eat Swiss chard 7 days a week, which I could be doing right now.
Yeah, I understand. It's nice to go to the restaurant from time to time, and
Yeah, and
have
also just cook well, with ingredients that I don't have on the land.
yeah.
But spices I have at all times, salads I can always make, and yeah, there's always some vegetables growing, but no
Yeah.
fruits so far.
Yeah. What if you look at the state of the world right now and what you are doing? Is what you are doing, do you like try to live in your own bubble and try to ignore the outside world? Or are you influenced by the news and by things going on?
Trying to not be influenced too much by the news, because at one point I just realized that it has a negative effect on me. It's mostly bad news, and it doesn't help me in any way. I mean, of course, I still realize what's happening in the world, but if I don't have to, I try to, kind of, as you said, like staying in my bubble, but like in a maybe for self-protection, but also because I really want to spread good energy into the world. And I can't do that if I get bombarded with negative energy at all times. So that's why I decided to kind of try to focus on whatever good is happening and positive influences that I could do or other people are doing in the world.
A smart move to protect yourself and to focus on the things you can change. If you do catch news or if you do catch the state of the world, what kind of emotions does that provoke with you?
I think it's scary mostly. And yeah, it's just a lot of hate and a lot of it's a bit brutal out there. People don't seem to be really nice to each other anymore. Just I don't think that's actually the reality, but that's what the media is showing us. And yeah, that's scary, I think.
And how do you deal with that emotion?
Well, as I said, I'm trying to just keep it out and focus on, for me, the reality is what I can see with my own eyes. And I'm surrounded by wonderful people, and I know so many great projects and so many people who really want to do something good, and people who help each other and are there for each other. So yeah, I'm trying to focus on that.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people in the space who like trying to transform their lives, but still sometimes even if you protect yourself, there are emotions that just come up, and it's not always easy for people to deal with them. If they do come up with you, how would you deal with them with let's say negative emotions or growth provoking emotions, let's call them?
That's a good question. I'm not sure if I have a good solution of dealing with, especially with fear, except for just avoiding the news. But I think just being out in nature always helps, because it's just you have other problems on the land that are manageable, and
Yeah.
I can do things, and that always helped me, because I think talking about problems is one thing, and a lot of people are very good at this, but I'm better at just finding solutions and doing stuff. Even if it's just a little small thing, even if I'm just, I don't know, saving one bird from the street or one hedgehog, at least I'm doing something.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think that's so powerful what you just said, Scarlett, that you're bombarded with so much things that are going on. Even if you don't watch the news, you hear it anyway.
Yeah.
But if you go to your land and you see that hedgehog that needs to be saved, or that bird, or that tree that needs to be watered, or a pig that you need to catch because it's
Mhm.
broke out, or these are challenges that you can kind of have a grip on, and you're building something. You plant a tree, you see that tree grow.
And you
And
really see the impact you have, which is wonderful. I mean, I don't know how many people can have this in their jobs, but for me, that's just amazing. I mean, you can see things growing and you can see that you're having a positive impact on the land. I mean, there's nothing more rewarding than that.
yeah, and that's so true. A lot of people I know who started a food forest, or who went and moved to another country, they actually say similar things. They say, well, I used to go to these protest marches about the climate, but the climate wasn't changing because of that. And it made me pretty depressed because I was keep on screaming at the streets and the politicians didn't listen. And I didn't see any change. So every ounce of energy I gave,
Yeah.
it like changed nothing. But when I started to plant trees, that tree's like every year it's bigger. And it's
Yeah.
now it's giving apples, or giving nuts, or giving other things. And it's just so empowering. And maybe that's the kind of power revolution we need.
Yeah, also I think, if you go protesting, we kind of try to combat anger with anger or fear with fear. And that's just not what I think is going to work. What we should do is we should, combat anger and fear with love and with something, with a good attitude. And so even if sometimes when people tell me like, it's so bad, everything is horrible, I just see like, yeah, of course, but what we can do is to really change something. So don't focus on like, I don't know, being angry at the system. Just make your own change in whatever you can do.
In your opinion, what would be the smallest step that a listener to this podcast that could be in this state of fear, could be in this state of frustration? What's the smallest step you think that they could take to go in that direction?
Well, I guess growing anything edible. It can be a radish or spinach or whatever. But I think just by planting something that you can then consume with your own body, that changes a lot in your mindset. And you kind of realize it starts to enable people just with the knowledge of, I actually could grow this myself. And if I can grow a radish, I can also grow a potato. And if I can grow a potato, I could grow a tree. And if I can grow a tree, I can grow a whole forest. It's like, I think just enabling a lot of people, at least that was my experience, especially hosting workshops back in Switzerland, like in a more urban environment. They were scared of starting because it's unknown, it's like soil is dirty and they're like animals and you don't really know, you don't want to make a mistake. I always say that everything dies and then I'm sad because I planted something and it died. And I think this is just, you need to start at some point, and if it dies, and you just try again. Nature is just very forgiving. It always wants to grow. So if you give it a chance, you can experience this. And I think it's, empowering people. That's like my biggest goal.
That's so powerful. I don't know if you read the book The One Straw Revolution from Masanobu Fukuoka,
I never read the whole one.
but
I
one of my
started.
favorite books. But what you're describing is like the one plant revolution. It's like you say, grow radishes. It's difficult to not be able to grow radishes. Mostly it always works out. And even if you live in a basement with no windows, you can still grow mushrooms.
And if you don't have like a radish, at least you have radish greens and you can still eat it. So it's like you never lose by planting your first plant.
Yeah. And the thing is with like believing in yourself, because that's sometimes hard to do, especially if you start out in things. The best way to start believing in yourself is to do like a very tiny thing. And if that works, then it's like you say, then you believe that if you can do a small thing, you can do a tiny, bigger step, a bigger step, bigger step, bigger step. And before you knew it, it's like you say, you planted an entire forest. Super powerful words, Scarlett. Thank you for sharing those with our listeners.
Me too.
One of the questions we always ask is, if you had a magic wand that you could wave in the air and you could literally do anything you want, what would be like the first thing you would do? It can be very local, can be very global. You have the almighty power. What would you do?
Almighty powder. Yeah, that's a difficult question. Well, I don't know. There are a lot of things I could do, but I once read that if the whole world would be covered in 1 millimeter of compost, I don't know what the impact would be, but it was like huge. I think that would be like, I would love to see that. Maybe if I had a magic wand, I would cover the whole world in one, well, maybe let's say 1 centimeter of compost.
If you have that magic wand anyway, you might as well do 1 centimeter, right?
To see what
Okay.
happens.
Interesting. Never thought about that.
I don't recall the exact numbers, but it was like a really fun experiment, like a study that, but it would change the whole planet like tremendously.
Simulation. Yeah, interesting. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, Scarlett. It's been a huge pleasure meeting you, and I wish you a lot of luck there on Mallorca.
Thank you.
Showing your neighbors that it is possible to grow vegetables, even though they thought it wasn't. That's the magic. Showing things are possible. I'm curious to see how it's evolving. And before we yeah, before we finish this podcast, are there any last words you would like to say to our listeners?
Well, I think I've talked a lot. Well, maybe just for everyone to know, like if anyone wants to come for a visit, we have like regular volunteer Thursdays where people can come, and we have like a farm tour, and then we garden together, which I think is a nice way to get into gardening, and not just theoretically. Because I have a lot of people who say like, "Oh, can I visit? Can I have a look?" And I realized like, no, you can't. You can, but you have to. Yes, you have to touch the soil and at least feed a duck or two, to kind of get into the doing and out of the just talking. And so yeah, if everyone's welcome to join every Thursday.
Smart move. So if you ever visit Mallorca, one day take the beautiful touristic train, and then the next day go and visit Scarlett.
Exactly.
All right. Well, an amazing episode. Thanks to you, Scarlett. If you want to know more about food forests, definitely check out foodforestpodcast.com, where you can also see the show notes and see links to Scarlett, her beautiful project. Well, I hope you enjoyed it, and see you or hear you in our next episode next week. Ciao, ciao.